So it's the 5th of July 2014 and I'm in a completely different city than I'm normally in. I'm in Amsterdam right now, and I've got a bike with me, a bike that I rented today, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a video tour. I have my camera rigged up there, and as you saw I got my microphone which I'm going to be recording, and my GPS is just warming up right there. So I'm just going to be giving you a little bit of a tour of what it's like riding around in Amsterdam. So right here on the map is where we're starting. Of course, I don't really know this area very well, but you know, if you can look up those streets, maybe it'll give you some idea of, you know, where I'm riding. That's near the Olympic Stadium, and from there we're going to be riding up along this way, and this is the main downtown area of Amsterdam, and I'm with my dad here, and he's going to be the one that I'm going to be following, so you'll be probably seeing the back of him for a fair bit of this ride. And we've looked at the map and neither of us really know the area that well, but he's going to be doing his best to try and get us going in the right direction. And anyways, I hope you enjoy the ride. So one of the main reasons that I'm in Amsterdam is because Amsterdam is known as probably one of the most bike-friendly cities in the world. There may be other ones that are pretty close. In general, European cities are, you know, quite a bit more bike-friendly, you know, generally speaking, than North American ones where I live. But this one's definitely one of the better ones. Cycling in the whole country of the Netherlands is, you know, very, very popular. But it's not that, you know, there's a lot of cycle enthusiasts. It's not like the people that are cycling, you know, are doing it because they love to cycle. It's just kind of the culture. It's like in the suburbs, you know, everyone drives a car. In the Netherlands, everyone rides a bike. It's just the normal way of life. And they've really done a really good job of developing their infrastructure to make it so that it's very safe and easy to do. They do have a bit of an advantage over other countries and cities in that the whole country is extremely flat. There are very few hills. You'll notice while I'm riding, you'll probably see almost no hills. The only ones really, you know, if you're going up and over a bridge or, you know, over a river or something like that. But I've actually spent the last week riding all over the country. I did what's called a bike and barge tour. And the way that works is you have a boat that you sleep in at night, and the boat, you don't drive between various different ports around, and during the day while the boat's driving, you're on your bike riding the same route that the boat does. And it's really convenient because, you know, you don't never have to pack up your suitcase during the whole week. You're basically staying in a hotel that moves, and you're able to ride the distances that you want to do. So if you'll notice right now, we're riding on this really nice bike path, you know, completely separated and protected from the cars. There's even, you know, a lane of parked cars as well as many parked bikes in that little gap between us. And this road actually has a tram that runs along it too. There's some tram tracks in the middle. So we'll probably see the tram go by at some point during the ride. The transit system is really great here as well. The trams are, you know, really fast and efficient and very frequent. They come, you know, quite often because, you know, not a lot of people in the Netherlands own cars. They're able to, even out in the country, they're able to get around quite easily on their bikes. And having, you know, even in the country, having, you know, regular train service makes life really easy. And in the city, having, you know, really good buses and trains as well works out really well. In North America, you know, we have some roads that would look just like this, where you have a really, you know, nice bike path and maybe even protected, maybe like back there where we had the you know, the cars parked between us and the moving cars. But the thing is, those streets are kind of rare. So, you know, all the cyclists would ride on that one particular route, and it gets pretty busy. And, you know, you'd have to modify your route a little bit, you know, take it kind of as a detour to be able to get good, safe cycling routes. However, here, you can basically pick any road and it'll be quite safe to ride on. Like, this kind of a route here is not rare at all. It's more rare to find a road where there's not a dedicated bike lane, at least in the city of Amsterdam. On top of having really good cycling infrastructure, there's also a network of canals that run through the entire city, and it's amazing. Like, it seems like thousands of canals that run through it, and, you know, thousands of boats that are putting around inside there. So we're just waiting at this light here, and you can see there's a green signal that just turned, which is on my right, and there's a separate signal just for the bikes, separate from the cars, separate from the pedestrians. And probably also noticed that I was kind of slow getting started on that. This bike that I'm riding, it's a bike with only one speed, and it has coaster brakes, which are kind of brakes that a lot of kids in North America have, you know, when they're just young. And it's the kind of brakes when you backpedal that makes, you know, the brakes work. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind. But that's pretty common for adult bikes to have them here. It's just a really, you know, cheap and inexpensive type of braking system. Anyways, as I was saying, it was a little bit hard for me to get started because I'm not used to those kind of brakes. And what I would normally do at a traffic light is I would rotate my pedals to a particular position, so when I started, you know, my feet would be in a comfortable position. But it's not so easy to reposition your pedals when you backpedal on them. They move. Hopefully the camera's not too shaky over this section here. A lot of the roads are actually made up of you know, patio stones or cobblestones instead of asphalt, which makes for a little bit bumpier ride, but still relatively quite smooth, much smoother than a gravel road, or much smoother than a road that has all kind of potholes in it, which in Toronto we have a lot of right now. So if you've never watched one of these videos that I've made before, I do this exact format of video in my home of Toronto, and I regularly record you know, routes of me riding around the city, just narrating, you know, talking about what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I often do my route that I take to and from work every day as well. So I thought while I was here, it would be a good chance to try, you know, taking that format that I've already, you know, kind of perfected and applying it to a completely new backdrop. Of course, to a local listening to this, they'll think I'm crazy because I don't really know what I'm talking about. Whereas at home, I'm, you know, pretty confident, you know, describing what we're riding through. And to be honest with you, right now, I have no idea where I am or what the buildings around me are. But hopefully you'll still get something out of watching this video. So I believe the route that my dad is following is just following the tram tracks. So the tram runs from out of the city, and I guess it takes a few different roads to get into the middle of the city. And the thing here, one thing I've noticed is that when you're traveling around the city, that the roads change their name a lot. Like, you'll only have a road will have a name, but then it'll, you know, a block later it'll change to a completely different name, and then 3 blocks later it'll become something else. And all the names are in Dutch, and they're really, you know, difficult to figure out how to pronounce them. So if you're talking to somebody else and you're both looking at the map and you're trying to figure stuff out, you're making up ways of pronouncing these words, and it's confusing because this road you're pointing at here actually has a different name because it changes name. There's a canal on the right and on the left, of course. But, so lots and lots of bikes surrounding. Quite a few people ride bikes just like the one that I'm riding, you know, very, very simple. They don't particularly ride fast. You know, you see people wearing suits and fancy clothes riding their bikes, which is not a big deal if you're riding a bike slowly. Then you're not going to get all sweaty. And of course, almost nobody else you'll see wearing a helmet. I decided to wear mine because I brought it with me on the trip, but it's very uncommon here, I guess, you know, because of the low speeds and not a whole lot of cycling injuries. I mean, we have a lot of injuries in you know, North America, but a lot of that's because, you know, getting in accidents with cars. But when you make the infrastructure safer, there's a lot less accidents, so lot less chance of falling off your bike. So, you know, not as important to have a helmet. Now, if you'll notice the buildings on the left, I guess, and on the right, at the very tops of them, well, these are very common to see buildings. Usually, almost all of Amsterdam seems to be these long row buildings, houses, I guess, but they're always 5 stories high. So I guess they're really more like apartments, but it's very typical to have them, and it's very typical to see ones that are leaning to the sides. That's because we're actually below sea level in Amsterdam. It's about, I think, 10 meters below, or 5 meters. And the ground is, you know, they do a good job of evacuating all the water out, but it's still pretty soggy far down where your foundation goes. And from what I understand, the foundation are made of wood. They, you know, take big logs of wood and just kind of pound them into the ground. And, you know, apparently like 1,000 logs for one little house. That's what your foundation is. And it works pretty well, but over the years, they do kind of lean from side to side a little bit. But something else to note on these buildings is at the very tops of the buildings, on every one there's a little bar that sticks out, and on the end of that there's a hook. And it's consistent with just about every single building that you see. And that's because the stairs that they use for the buildings are very narrow and small. So if you move into one of those apartments and you got to get your couch and your bed and your dresser and all your furniture up there, they're not going to fit up the stairs very easily. And even if they fit, you know, it's pretty difficult to carry, you know, a dresser or a bed or something up several flights of stairs. So they use those external hooks, and they use kind of a pulley system to pull them up. Or at least that's what they used to do. I don't think that they really use those hooks anymore. I don't think they're really functional anymore. They have a kind of an external little elevator lift kind of thing that, you know, parks in front of the building and uses that to hoist it up to the top. So we're getting closer to the center of the city now. Just going to go over another canal here. So we're climbing up a bit of a hill. Not much of a hill, but it's about as hilly as you get in the city here. Really in the whole country. So yeah, I really enjoyed the week trip that I took. I actually used this same camera during that trip, and I kept it recording for most of the rides that I did. Each day we did about 50K. We didn't go particularly fast, just kind of, you know, a leisurely vacation kind of a pace. Anyways, I recorded most of the distances that I did each day, although that's a lot of footage to put on YouTube. So I'm sure what I'll probably do is I'll just, you know, take a few little clips and I'll put them together and just kind of summarize each of the days of the trip and some of the points of interest along the way. So in this video I'm wearing my heart rate monitor, and I'm also projecting my heart rate and my speed onto the screen for you to see at home. I do that just to make things maybe a little bit more interesting. But you'll probably see my heart rate doesn't climb or drop too much in this because I'm really not working that hard. It's just a kind of a slow, leisurely kind of a pace. All these other cyclists aren't going much faster either. And here we got the right of way to go through. No signal to wait for. So while I was here, I definitely didn't learn how to speak the language at all. I guess there's a few words that I picked up along the way, but nowhere near being able to speak the language. But luckily, just about every person from this country can speak very good English. Most people can speak multiple languages. I think there's not very many other countries that speak, you know, the Dutch language. So in school they really make sure that, you know, everyone learns how to speak other languages, because their own language isn't gonna be very helpful for traveling or for even having, you know, tourism in their own country. So they make sure everyone can speak other languages. So we're getting closer to downtown now. We're off of the tram tracks, you know, the road that had the tram tracks with it. This is more of the tourist kind of area. There's a lot of people. And this road that we're on now, it's not specifically for bikes, but it's a shared road, you know, with cars and other vehicles. But it's mostly just, you know, pedestrians and bikes. And actually, pedestrians really aren't even supposed to be on the actual road. You know, they have their own designated sidewalk over on the right there. Oh, and here's a boat on the left that's coming. Everyone on it's wearing some bright orange. I don't know how well you can see it from your view. But it's a very special day today because right now the World Cup is on, and tonight the Netherlands is playing in the semi-finals. So if they win the game tonight, then they'll be, you know, one of the top 2 teams in soccer, and they have their chance at, you know, winning the World Cup. So we're thinking it's going to be a pretty exciting night in the city here. It'll be pretty loud for most of the night. The game starts at 10 o'clock in this time zone. So as I'm riding, I'm sure you'll notice lots of bars and restaurants all with all sorts of banners and signs and stuff in the bright orange color, which is the Holland color for soccer and for many athletic things. One of the other main sports that this country is good at is speed skating in the Winter Olympics. They won tons and tons of medals in this previous Olympics. And they, of course, wear orange as well in speed skating. And this road is a little bit under construction right now. So we're actually going to walk a little bit through here so we can meet up back with the cycle track. The last time we encountered one of these, we ended up on something that wasn't for bikes, and a policeman came and drove along beside us and told us that we weren't supposed to be there. So there's a few key destinations that I'd like us to ride past before ending the video in the downtown area. You know, things that I think are worth seeing. But other than that, I hope you're just enjoying absorbing the, taking it all in, all the infrastructure that we got in this great city. Earlier in the day when I wanted to make this video, it was quite rainy, and it started around 10 o'clock. It started raining, and it was kind of on and off and on and off. And we were looking at the weather radar, and we saw that we're trying to predict what times, the weather would break and we get to ride. And well, it's still been a good day of riding. We've still done some good exploring around. So I believe the building that we're approaching right straight ahead is the Grand Central Station, or just called, pardon? The Royal Palace, which is, I was always wrong, it's not the Grand Central Station, but we'll be doing that shortly afterwards. So the Royal Palace is one of the buildings which faces inward into a place called Dam Square, or Dom Square. I've heard it said both ways. I don't know which one is correct. So I believe that it's not occupied by any actual royalty, even though it's a palace. It's more like just a city civic government building, like for the mayor and stuff. But it's used for accommodation for important people that come into the city, like the presidents of other countries or royalty from other countries that come and visit. And in Dam Square there's a tower, which we'll see in a minute. It's a white tower, and it's known as the meeting place for Amsterdam. So if you're getting together with a friend or something, or you say, hey, we'll meet in Amsterdam, this is where you meet them. So just this big area, big flat platform here is the middle of the square, and over that way there's the tower that I was describing, and to the right is that Royal Palace. Lots and lots of people walking through the streets over here. So it'll be interesting to navigate through all these people. That street looks like it's just for pedestrians though. On the left there's a building called the Magna Plaza, which was originally the main post office for the city and probably some of the surrounding area. I'll just point the camera over there. And it's now being used as a shopping center, but really nice old building. So we just basically did a loop. We turned to the right there. That's where we looped around the Grand Palace. And now we're heading towards that central station. If I'm not mistaken, this is the street where the hotel where I'm staying is on. And the place where I rented the bikes, or we rented the bikes. On the right there it is. It's just green budget bikes. Just went past it. The bikes have the right of way over crosswalks like that, I believe. Those people were waiting for us to get through before they crossed. So right in this little annex here is where, on the right, is where the hotel that I'm staying at is called Intel Hotel, or Intel Hotels. And we actually stayed there before we did the bike and barge. The bike and barge started and ended in Amsterdam, and we had a night. We're having a night there tonight, and we also had a night there when we first came to Amsterdam while we were waiting to catch the boat. And it's a pretty good location. It's, you know, right in the center of the city. I can't tell you how much it cost because my parents covered that cost. I'm here with them. And actually quite a few other members of my extended family. This has been a big family trip, a big group of us from the family. All came over here together and spent the week on the bike and barge. Alright, so straight ahead is the central station. There's kind of a truck that's blocking it right now. But it's on the left from where we are right now, behind those buses. And I think we'll be doing a loop right through the middle of it.
Can you not do it in one big...
But this lane right here is just for bikes. So you can see the pedestrians are all waiting on the side of it. Lots of people coming into the city. Now it is a Saturday night, so lots of people coming in to get together with friends, and I bet a lot of them are here to watch soccer with their friends. So we're just walking our bikes through this section here. So on the right there's the main part of the central station. I guess probably can't see that very well with all these people. The camera is mounted, you know, on the front of the bike, and it's right around waist level for most people. But it's a really, you know, fancy, interesting building. But very, very busy around it right at this time of day, so difficult to see. So this is the main central station. You know, there's trains that go all over the place from here, out to all the, you know, the suburban, smaller towns that are around Amsterdam, and lots of people work in the city, and they take the train in every day. But to get from here to the rest of Amsterdam, they of course can take the trams to get there, but a lot of them bicycle So when we get outside the station, you're going to see an awful lot of people's bikes. A lot of people have a bike that they leave in the city when they go back to the suburbs, and they lock it up there, and then it's waiting for them when they come in the next day. So it's kind of like their city bike, and they probably have their own bikes at home as well. We're just crossing here to get into the cycle path, cycle track. Lots of people walking in the cycle track because they don't realize that it's a cycle track. On the left here, there's a big, huge parking garage just for bikes. You know, so many bikes. They need places to store them. I'm sure it didn't take very long for the land around to get, you know, all completely filled up. So they needed to build a structure to keep more of them. So as I said, on the left here, that little structure there is all bikes. It's, I guess, 3 stories tall. And all these ones, you know, on the ground level as well. I just think this is just incredibly amazing, seeing this many bikes all in one spot. Never seen anything quite like it. And they're all of the same style, like they're all the Dutch bike. Like they have the high handlebars, they have the, whoops, we might be in the wrong spot. Should be over there, I think. We're just tourists, we don't know what we're doing. So those little markers there were telling us to turn to the right or to the left. But we didn't know that's what the markers meant. So more bikes parked under the bridge here. Above us is where all the train tracks are that come in and out of the city. But as I was saying, you know, all the bikes are very similar. They have, you know, the high handlebars, you know, the chrome handlebars, and the frames are all, you know, steel frames, and not, you know, fancy aluminum or anything like that. And they're all very heavy bikes. But anyways, this is a pretty good place to stop. I'm just gonna head back to the hotel now. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed following along with my trip through Amsterdam. Thanks for watching.